Let's talk about balance changes. Carl is getting a buff to his projectile speed by 15%. As you can tell in this before and after, it's not like super easy to tell in like the middle of battle, but I think this is going to make Carl's attacks a bit easier to hit and more difficult for enemies to dodge. This is also an overall DPS buff to Carl because he reloads as soon as his pickaxe comes back to him. So now that it'll come back to him 15% faster, that's in a way a 15% DPS boost. Grom is getting a DPS nerf and a DPS buff, but overall, it's actually a pretty massive buff. First of all is his attack damage, which is getting a 22% buff. I had to double check the numbers like 3 times because 22% is a massive buff. At max level, his attacks are going from 1,350 damage without his X Factor star power to 1,650 damage without his X Factor star power. Now, when you add his X Factor star power, each attack will be able to deal 2,145 damage, which is just, I mean, it's so much better than it was before. I wouldn't necessarily say that it is the most damage out of any brawler's attack, but that's a big change. He'll now be able to take out 65% of the brawlers in the game with 1 less ammo, which means that his attacks are going to be much more impactful. To make up for this, his super damage is getting a 6% nerf. At max level, it's going from 2,550 damage to 2,400 damage. Now, I say that this nerf is going to make up for Grom's attack, but it's really not. That is still plenty of damage for a super, and Grom's main attack is going to be so much better. Now, I don't know if this is going to make him like the most competitive brawler in the game because his shots are still like really easy to avoid, but for most players, I could see Grom terrorizing the meta. Supercell rarely buffs attack damage more than 10%, let alone 22%. Byron is getting a 23% nerf to his reload speed. Now, this isn't entirely a 23% damage nerf because there are plenty of times in a match where like you sit at full ammo, but this is definitely going to tone him down, well, honestly, quite a lot. You're gonna have to be a lot more careful when it comes to when to attack versus when to heal, and I could see this being a big reason why Byron falls out of the competitive meta. I still think he's going to be good, but I don't think he's going to be amazing everywhere, at least not competitively, and I think this is especially going to tone down like really competitive compositions like Ashe and Byron, who pair well together just like so well. Ruffs is getting a nerf to the HP of his sandbags. They're going from 2,000 HP down to 1,500 HP, which honestly, I think this is going to make his gadget a lot more fair. I don't think this will change him very much. I think that Colonel Ruffs is still going to be like one of those brawlers that people sleep on. He's better than people think that he is, but it's going to make him less of a hard counter against certain types of brawlers with slow reload speeds and single target damage like Piper. Up next is a nerf to Eve's Happy Surprise star power. Rather than being able to spawn a hatchling every single attack, it will only be able to happen every 5 seconds. This might sound like a big nerf, but I don't think that it actually is that big because Eve is usually best played firing like 1 or 2 ammo at a time. Now, to be fair, I think the choice between those 2 different star powers that she has is going to be a little bit more difficult to make now. Either way though, I think Eve's still going to be very strong. Next is a nerf to Janet. She's no longer going to be able to activate her drop the base while flying. Honestly, when I thought this was possible, I thought it was a bug rather than like a feature, so I think that making this change just makes a lot of sense. Otherwise, I think that Janet will still remain like fairly competitive. Now, Penny also received quite a few changes, but I'll be covering her in a future sneak peek, so subscribe for that. Club League is getting 2 major improvements added to it. First of all, only the trophy contributions of the top 24 members are going to count toward Club League. If the bottom 6 people play their matches, they will still receive club coin rewards, but this means that the whole club won't be punished for a small minority of players who either just aren't active, miss a day or something like that, or they just aren't as good as the rest of the club. They can't keep up with the competition, right? I think this is an amazing quality of life improvement for Club League, and it's just going to make clubs feel, I mean, it's going to make it so much better. It's no big deal if like a few of your people in your club slack, or maybe somebody leaves. Like, you're not going to be just completely eliminated from winning because you have a couple people that are gone, right? Also, people have lives, and it's difficult to try and like match up schedules with other people in your club so that you can actually do your matches, and so like this relieves a lot of the pressure and stress from that.